I walked into my parents' living room expecting a normal Sunday dinner. Instead, I found my entire family sitting in a semicircle, faces serious like they were about to stage an intervention. Mom gestured to the empty chair across from them. "Sit down, honey. We need to talk about something important." My stomach tightened, but I Saturday. Dad cleared his throat twice before speaking, the way he always did when he was nervous. "We've been thinking about the house situation," he began, "and we've decided it's best if the house goes to your sister Claire." The words didn't make sense at first. I blinked at him, waiting for the punchline. "What house?" I asked, though I already knew. Claire leaned forward, dangling a set of keys from her finger. My keys. The ones to the house I'd bought 2 years ago with my own money. The house I'd worked overtime for. The house that was legally mine. "This house," Claire said, smiling. "Mom and Dad talked to me last week. It's official now. I'm moving in next month." I looked from Claire to my parents, waiting for someone to tell me this was a joke. Nobody laughed. "You're giving her my house." My voice came out small, confused. "How can you give away my house?" Mom sighed like I was being difficult. "It's not about giving it away, Jessica. It's about family sharing. Claire needs it more than you do right now." "I need it." I repeated. "I bought it. I've been paying the mortgage for 2 years." Claire rolled her eyes and pulled out her phone, swiping through screenshots. "Look, I've already been planning renovations. The kitchen needs to be gutted. These countertops are hideous. And I'm thinking we knock down this wall to open up the living space." She showed me design after design, each one more expensive than the last. Marble, custom cabinets, designer fixtures. "That's my money you're spending," I said quietly. Dad laughed. Actually laughed, like I'd said something funny. "Come on, Jess. Don't be dramatic. Family helps family. That's what we do." "But I paid for everything," I insisted, my voice getting louder. "The down payment came from my savings. I make every mortgage payment. The house is in my name. You can't just give it to Claire." Aunt Linda, who I hadn't even noticed sitting in the corner, shook her head at me. "Jessica, sweetheart, you're being incredibly selfish right now. Your sister is getting married next year. She needs stability. You're single. You have your little apartment. Why do you need a whole house?" I felt my face get hot. "Because I bought it. Because it's mine." "There's that word again," Mom said sharply. "Mine, mine, mine. We didn't raise you to be so greedy, Jessica. Claire has a future to build with David. She's planning for children. What are you planning for? To live alone forever?" The room went quiet except for the sound of my heart pounding in my ears. Everyone was staring at me, waiting for me to apologize, to back down, to be reasonable. I'd always been the reasonable one. That night, I couldn't sleep. Mom and Dad had insisted I stay over since it was late, putting me in what used to be my guest room. My guest room. In my house. I could hear Claire down the hall, talking on the phone with David. Her voice bright with excitement. "I know, baby. Can you believe it? A whole house. We won't have to rent anymore. Your parents are going to be so impressed." I stared at the ceiling, doing math in my head. Down payment, $20,000. 24 months of mortgage payments at $1,300 each. That was over $50,000 I'd put into this house. Property taxes. Insurance. The new water heater when the old one broke. The fence I'd installed last summer. Every dollar had come from my paycheck, from my overtime hours, from my careful saving. Around midnight, I heard footsteps outside my door. Then Claire's voice, quiet but clear. "You awake?" I didn't answer. She opened the door anyway, slipping inside and sitting on the edge of the bed. "Look," Claire said, her voice different now that we were alone. Not sweet. Not excited. Just matter of fact. "I need you to understand something. This was decided months ago. Mom and Dad promised me this house back in March." I sat up. "March? That was 6 months ago." "Yeah," she said, picking at her fingernail. "I didn't want to be the one to tell you because I knew you'd freak out. But they told me they were done watching you waste this house. You barely even visit it anymore since you moved to that apartment for work. I moved because you needed a place to stay after your breakup with David. I said slowly, remembering. You said it was temporary. You said 2 months, maximum. Claire shrugged. We got back together. Things change. The point is, you don't need this house, Jessica. You live alone. You'll probably always live alone. I have a future. I have someone who loves me. I'm building a life. She stood up and walked to the door. Mom and Dad agree. So does everyone. Just accept it. The next morning, I woke up to voices downstairs. I found my parents in the kitchen, making breakfast like nothing had happened. Good morning, sweetie, Mom said, too cheerfully. We need to talk more about yesterday. You left things tense. I poured myself coffee, my hand shaking slightly. I was upset. We know, Dad said. And we understand. But we need you to understand our position too. We raised you girls to share, to support each other. This is just us asking you to live by those values. Claire needs this more than you do, Mom added, putting pancakes on a plate. She's at a different stage of life. Marriage, probably kids soon. You have time to buy another house. Later when you're ready to settle down. The implication hung there. When you find someone. When you're not alone anymore. I took a breath, feeling something shift inside me. You're right, I said quietly. Both of them looked surprised. I am. Yeah, I said, forcing a smile. I'm sorry I reacted badly yesterday. I just needed time to process. I understand now. Family is more important than property. The relief on their faces was almost funny. Almost. Oh, honey, I'm so glad, Mom said, hugging me. We knew you'd come around. You've always been such a good daughter. I just need to get a few things from the garage, I said. Some boxes I stored there. Is that okay? Of course, Dad said. Take whatever you need. Claire's not moving in officially. Until next month anyway. I spent 3 hours in that garage, going through filing cabinets and boxes. Every document related to the house was there. The original purchase agreement with my signature. Copies of every mortgage payment, every tax payment, every insurance payment. All in my name. All from my bank account. I took photos of everything with my phone. Then I loaded the physical documents into my car, along with old emails I'd printed out and saved. Conversations about renovations. Receipts for repairs. Everything that proved this house was mine and mine alone. Nobody asked what I was taking. Nobody checked. They thought I'd given up. Monday morning, I called in sick to work. Instead, I drove downtown to a law office that a friend had recommended. The lawyer's name was Patricia Morgan, and she'd handled property disputes before. Tell me everything, she said after I sat down. I did. Every detail. The surprise announcement. Claire's admission that it had been planned for months. The renovations she was planning with my equity. When I finished, Patricia was quiet for a moment, reviewing the documents I'd brought. This is straightforward, she finally said. The house is in your name. You have documentation of every payment. Unless you sign something giving them permission to transfer ownership, they can't legally do this. I didn't sign anything, I said. I didn't even know about it until yesterday. Patricia nodded slowly. Then you have a very strong case. In fact, what they're attempting could be considered fraud if they try to forge your signature or transfer the deed without your consent. My hands started shaking again. What do I do? First, we wait, Patricia said. Don't tip your hand. Let them think you've accepted the situation. Meanwhile, I'll start preparing paperwork to protect your interests. How long will that take? A week, maybe 2. We need to be thorough. I left her office feeling strange, powerful and scared at the same time. Over the next 10 days, I played along perfectly. I went to dinner at the house. I smiled when Claire showed me more renovation plans. I even help her pick out paint colors, nodding along as she described her vision for my home. Then Claire decided to throw a housewarming party. Just something small, she told me over the phone. Close family and a few friends. David's parents want to see the place. Can you come Saturday? I said yes. Saturday came, and I drove to my house to find it full of people. Balloons. A banner that said, "Welcome home Claire and David." My aunt and uncle were there. My cousins. People from Claire's work. Everyone was celebrating her good fortune. I walked through rooms that were supposed to be mine, watching strangers drink wine in my living room. Claire gave a speech, thanking Mom and Dad for their incredible generosity. David's parents took photos in front of the fireplace I'd paid for. Nobody mentioned my name. That's when I noticed something strange. Claire was showing David's father the backyard, pointing to where they wanted to build a deck. "We are just waiting on the permit," she was saying. "The contractor said it'll take another month, but then we can start." I frowned. A permit? For construction. I'd studied the local zoning laws when I bought this house. Any deck over a certain size required approval from the homeowners association, and our HOA was very strict about renovations. I pulled out my phone and checked the HOA portal. No permit requests. No applications. Nothing. If they started building without approval, there would be fines. Big ones. And those fines would fall on the property owner. Me. The next day, I went through my files more carefully. That's when I found it. A document I'd never seen before. A loan application. For $40,000. Using my house as collateral. With my name on it. But I'd never applied for any loan. I called Patricia immediately. "I found something," I said, my voice shaking. "There's a loan against my house that I didn't authorize. Can you send me a photo of the document?" I did. 5 minutes later, my phone rang. "Jessica, this is serious. This is identity fraud. Someone signed your name on this loan application. The signature doesn't even match the one on your original purchase documents." My parents. I whispered. "They have my personal information. They helped me with the original purchase. They kept copies of everything." "We need to act now," Patricia said. "If this loan defaults, you're legally responsible. Your credit, your financial future, everything is at risk. I'm filing an emergency motion today." "Wait," I said. "If we do this, there's no going back. My family will never forgive me." Patricia was quiet for a moment. "Jessica, they took out a $40,000 loan in your name without your permission. They're planning to give your house to your sister. They've already started renovation. Plans that could result in thousands in HOA. Fines that you'll have to pay. When exactly do you think they were planning to tell you the truth?" I closed my eyes. She was right. "Okay," I said. "Do it." 3 days later, everything happened at once. Legal letters were delivered to my parents' house and to Claire at my house. The property was officially frozen, meaning no construction, no renovations. No changes could be made until the legal dispute was resolved. I was at work when my phone exploded with calls. First Claire, screaming so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. Then Mom. Then Dad. Then Aunt Linda. I didn't answer any of them. Finally, a text from Claire. "The contractors just left. They said they can't work until this is resolved. What did you do?" That evening, my parents showed up at my apartment. I'd been expecting them. I opened the door to find Dad red-faced and furious, Mom crying. "How could you?" Dad shouted before I could even say hello. "How could you bring lawyers into a family matter? Are you trying to destroy us?" "Come inside," I said quietly. "We shouldn't do this in the hallway." They followed me in, and I closed the door. Mom collapsed onto my couch, crying harder. "We thought you understood. We thought you were okay with this. You thought I was okay with you stealing my house." I asked. "Because that's what this is. Theft. We gave you life." Dad roared. "We raised you, fed you, put a roof over your head for 18 years. And this is how you repay us? with lawyers and legal threats. I stood very still, keeping my voice calm. Did you take out a loan in my name? The question hung in the air. Mom stopped crying. Answer the question, I said. Did you forge my signature on a $40,000 loan using my house as collateral? Dad's face changed. The anger drained away, replaced by something else. Fear. We were going to pay it back, Mom whispered. It was for Claire's wedding. She needed help, and we didn't have the money. We thought you wouldn't mind since you were giving her the house. Anyway, I never agreed to give her the house, I said. You decided that without asking me. And then you committed fraud to fund a wedding I wasn't even going to be part of planning. You're destroying this family. Claire's voice came from the doorway. I hadn't heard her come up the stairs, but there she was, mascara running down her face. David's parents think we are trash now. The contractors are threatening to sue us for their lost time. Mom and Dad could go to jail because of you. They could go to jail because they committed a crime, I corrected. I didn't do that. They did. Claire stepped forward, her face twisted with rage. I will turn everyone against you. Every cousin, every aunt, every uncle. By the time I'm done, you won't have a family left. The next week was brutal. My phone never stopped ringing. Extended family members I barely knew called to tell me I was selfish, cruel, ungrateful. Cousins posted vague messages on social media about family betrayal. Aunt Linda left me a voicemail saying I was dead to her. But something else started happening too. A few people reached out quietly, asking for my side of the story. My cousin Marcus, who was studying law. My uncle Tom, who'd always been the skeptical one in the family. I didn't post anything online. I didn't argue or defend myself publicly. But when people asked me directly, I told them the truth. I showed them the documents. The loan application with the forged signature. The mortgage statements proving I'd paid everything. The legal deed showing the house was mine. Wait, Marcus said when I showed him everything. They forged your signature on a loan? That's serious. Like, federal crime serious. Word spread slowly. Not loud or dramatic, just person to person. The story started to shift. 2 weeks after I'd sent the legal notices, Patricia called me. We have a development, she said. The bank that issued the loan found out about the legal dispute. They're calling in the loan immediately. My stomach dropped. What does that mean? It means the full $40,000 is due in 30 days. If it's not paid, they'll start foreclosure proceedings on both properties, your house and your parents' house, since they used it as secondary collateral. I sat down hard. Both houses. Your parents didn't tell you? They put their own house up as backup collateral. If this loan defaults, they lose everything. I couldn't breathe. So what happens now? Now we have leverage, Patricia said. Your parents' lawyer contacted me this morning. They want to negotiate. For the first time since this started, I had power. Real power. Not because I wanted to hurt them, but because finally, they had to take me seriously. The meeting was scheduled for Friday. 4 days away. 4 days to decide what I really wanted. When Friday came, we met at Patricia's office. My parents arrived with their lawyer, a nervous man named Frank who kept wiping his forehead with a handkerchief. Claire came too, though she sat in the corner, not at the table. I sat across from my parents with Patricia beside me. The room felt cold and official, nothing like the warm family dinners we used to have. Frank cleared his throat. My clients would like to resolve this matter without further legal action. I'm sure they would. Patricia said coolly. What are they proposing? A payment plan for the loan, return of the property to Jessica's name, and a written apology. And what does Jessica get to ensure this never happens again? Patricia asked. Frank glanced at my parents. They looked smaller somehow. Older. What do you want? Dad asked me directly. It was the first time he'd asked me what I wanted instead of telling me what I should do. I looked at my parents for a long moment. I want my house back. Full ownership, no claims from anyone. I want the loan paid off completely. And I want a written statement acknowledging that the house was always mine. That the loan was taken without my consent. And that you have no legal or moral claim to my property. Mom gasped. We can't pay $40,000. We are retired. We don't have that kind of money. Then, you shouldn't have taken out the loan. Patricia said simply. Claire suddenly spoke up from her corner. I'm not leaving the house. I already moved all my stuff in. I've been living there for 3 weeks. That makes it my residence. You can't just kick me out. I turned to look at her. Actually, I can. You're living there without a lease, without my permission, and without paying rent. You're a squatter. I'm your sister. She screamed. You can't do this to me. I have nowhere to go. David and I already gave notice at our apartment. The wedding is in 6 months. We've sent out invitations with this address. Patricia pulled out a document. Ms. Claire Bennett was served with an eviction notice 5 days ago. She has 48 hours to vacate the property or the sheriff will remove her. Forcibly. Claire's face went white. She looked at Mom and Dad, waiting for them to fix this. But they just sat there, silent and defeated. There's more, Frank said quietly. We received a court summons this morning. If this isn't resolved by the end of the month, there will be a hearing. The judge will review the fraud allegations. What does that mean? Mom asked. It means criminal charges could be filed, Frank explained. Identity fraud is a felony. If the judge finds sufficient evidence, the case could be referred to the district attorney. The room went very quiet. This had escalated beyond a family dispute. This was real now. Legal. Permanent. We never meant for it to go this far. Dad said, his voice cracking. We just wanted to help Claire. We thought you'd understand. Eventually. You thought I'd just accept that you stole from me, I said. There's a difference. Patricia set another document on the table. Here's what I'm proposing. Full ownership returns to Jessica immediately. The loan is paid within 60 days or Jessica will cover it and you'll owe her the money on a structured repayment plan. All parties sign a document acknowledging Jessica's sole ownership. If you can't meet these terms, we proceed to court. The choice is yours. The deadline was set. 30 days to come up with $40,000 or agree to Jessica's terms. I went back to my apartment and waited. Days passed slowly. I went to work, came home, tried to focus on anything but the calendar. Finally, on day 28, Patricia called. They want to meet again, she said. They have a proposal. We met at Patricia's office again. This time, Claire wasn't there. Just my parents and Frank. We can pay $25,000, Dad said. We sold my truck and borrowed from your mother's sister. That's all we can get. $25,000. $15,000 short. And the rest? I asked. Mom's hands were shaking. We are asking if you would consider covering the remaining $15,000. We'll pay you back over time. Monthly installments. It's all written out here. Frank slid a document across the table. A repayment plan. $500 a month for 30 months. I looked at the numbers. It wasn't ideal, but it was something. And the house? I asked. Full ownership transferred back to you, Frank said. All claims removed. We have the paperwork ready. I looked at my parents. Really looked at them. Mom's hair had more grey than I remembered. Dad's hands had a tremor I'd never noticed before. They looked exhausted. Defeated. What about Claire? I asked. Has she moved out? She's staying with David's parents, Mom said quietly. She's not speaking to us. She blames us for ruining her life. She blames you. I asked, surprised. We are the ones who gave her the house, Dad said bitterly. We are the ones who took out the loan. We are the ones who told her it was all taken care of. She says we lied to her. Says we humiliated her in front of David's family. For the first time, I saw it clearly. My parents hadn't just betrayed me. They'd set themselves up to fail, and they dragged Claire down with them. And now, facing the consequences, the family was fracturing from within. If I agree to this, I said slowly, I wanted in writing that this ends here. No more asking for money. No more expectations. We are even. Dad nodded. We understand. Do you? I asked. Because for my whole life, I've been the responsible one. The one who doesn't need help. But that didn't mean I didn't deserve respect. The signing happened 2 days later. My parents signed documents transferring the house back to my name. They signed the loan repayment agreement. They signed a statement acknowledging that the house had always been legally mine, that the loan was taken without proper authorization, and that they had no further claims to the property. Claire eventually signed too, though she did it through a lawyer and I never saw her. A document confirming she had no claim to the house and would not pursue any legal action. When it was done, Patricia handed me a folder with all the final paperwork. Congratulations, she said. You won. But it didn't feel like winning. It felt like surviving. I drove to the house that afternoon. My house. I had the keys again. All the locks had been changed. I walked through empty rooms. Claire had taken all her things, but she'd left damage behind. Holes in the walls where she'd started renovation work. Half-painted rooms. Scratches on the hardwood floors where she'd moved furniture. It would take time and money to fix, but it was fixable. Unlike some things. I spent the next week cleaning and repairing. I painted over Claire's color choices. I patched the walls. I made the house mine again. But something felt different. Wrong. I'd fought so hard for this house. Sacrificed my relationship with my family. Spent thousands on lawyers. And now that I had it back, I realized something. I didn't want it anymore. This house represented everything I'd lost. Every argument, every betrayal, every moment of pain. It wasn't home. It was just a building full of bad memories. I sat in the empty living room and made a decision. I called a real estate agent the next day. I want to sell, I told her, as soon as possible. She came by that afternoon. Walked through the house, took notes. The market is good right now. You should be able to sell quickly, especially at this price point. How quickly? Maybe a month. 6 weeks at most. Do it, I said. The house sold in 3 weeks. A young family with 2 kids bought it. They were excited, talking about which room would be the nursery, where they'd put the swing set in the backyard. I felt happy for them in a way I couldn't quite explain. At the closing, I signed the final papers and accepted the check. After paying off the remaining loan balance, legal fees, and repairs, I cleared $45,000. Not a fortune, but enough. I wrote a check to my parents for the full $25,000 they'd contributed, plus an extra $2,000 for the interest they would have paid. I mailed it with a note. This covers everything you paid. We are even now. Please don't contact me again. I kept Claire's share. She'd caused enough damage. With the remaining money, I put a down payment on a condo across town. Smaller than the house, but it was in my name only. Nobody else knew about it. Nobody else had keys. It was completely, entirely, just mine. 3 months passed. I settled into my new place. Small but comfortable. I made it exactly how I wanted it, with no one else's opinions or expectations. Work was going well. I'd gotten a promotion. My bank account was recovering. Life was quiet, and I was learning to appreciate quiet. Then one Saturday morning, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I almost didn't check it, but curiosity won. Hi Jessica. This is Mom. I got a new phone. Claire's wedding is coming up next month. She wants to know if you'll come. We all miss you. Can we talk? We are family. We can fix this. I stared at the message for a long time. Read it 3 times. Then I typed back, I hope the wedding is beautiful. Take care. I hit send, then I blocked the number. Not out of anger anymore. Just out of necessity. Some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. And maybe that's okay. I looked around my condo. Sunlight was streaming through the windows I'd picked out. My furniture. My art on the walls. My life, built by me, for me. I'd learned something important through all of this. Family matters, but so does standing up for yourself. So does protecting what you've worked for. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away. My phone buzzed one more time. Another message, different number. I picked it up, ready to block this one too. This is Claire. I understand now. What we did was wrong. I'm sorry. I hope you're happy. You deserved better from all of us. I read it twice. Then I set my phone down and went to make coffee. Some messages don't need responses. Some chapters just need to end. And some doors need to stay locked so you can finally move forward. I opened my laptop and looked at flights to places I'd always wanted to visit. Places where nobody knew my story. Places where I could just be me. For the first time in months, I smiled. Really smiled. The house was gone. The family was gone. But I was still here. And I was free.